What's up, nerds? Let's get after it. All right, guys, this is the workbook exercises. We've already done exercise 1. We've done exercise 3. We've done a lot of exercise 5 as well. I'm going to walk you through all the other ones. Just go back and look at what we did for these. All right, this also includes the vocative that you guys have been practicing. Make sure you go back in the slides. You're looking at those things. But let me just go ahead and give you the answers for exercise 2 that you guys... I never told you guys to do these. These are the vocab derivative questions. And what it's asking is, what word in here does not come from the words that you guys have learned this chapter? So it's going to use these words, and it's going to show you derivatives that we have in English of these words. But you do not need to go crazy on this. I don't ask any questions like this often. Sometimes I'll ask them if it helps you to really understand the words better. But for right now, let me just go ahead and give you the answers in order. All right? So number one is C. Number 2 is A. Number 3 is D. You can circle the answers and come back and think about why. Look those words up. Think about why. It'll really help you with your vocab if you do that. Number 1 is C. Number 2 is A. Number 3 is D. 4, B. 5, C. 6A, 7D, 8D, 9C, 10A, 11D, 12B, and 13C. So those are the answers for exercise 2. We've also already done exercise 3 together. All right, so I'm not going to go over that one right now. We did that one in class. But exercise 4, this exercise here on page 13, we had done a little bit, but let me go ahead and walk you through each of these step by step. So, exercise 4 here, you guys are asked to translate the first sentence, and then based on the translation of the first sentence, you treat the noun of the, you didn't do that. You did exercise 5, sorry. Exercise 4 is new. So what you're asked to do here in exercise 4 is to translate this first sentence. So the first sentence they give you is puer lupam temet. All right, so I'm just going to give you a brief translation of these sentences. All right, I'm going to do all 5 of these for you. Puer, lupam, temet. All right, nominative, puer, accusative, lupam. So I have my subject noun, my direct object, my verb is at the end. Remember, healthy translating word order is subject noun, verb, direct object. So the boy fears the wolf. All right, so the next sentence is talking to the subject noun of the first sentence. That's what's going on here. This is getting your practice with the vocative up. All right, putting the correct version of the vocative in what I told you would be obvious. It will be bracketed by commas. Sometimes it'll have exclamation marks after it, or it'll have words of like getting someone's attention, like, hey, you, me, Philly, like you guys had in the translation before. Hey, my sons. All right, getting the attention of someone. That's what's going on here. So the boy fears the wolf. So what it's doing in this next sentence is it's talking to the boy. And you can see that with the verb right here, debase. Debase, S means you. All right? So non debase. You ought not. You ought not, comma, comma. Who is it addressing? It's talking to the boy. And the R ending, like puer, ager, weir, those nouns that y'all have learned in this chapter that end in R, they just look the same as they do in the nominative in the vocative. So your answer is puer. You ought not, boy, temeira lupam. So remember, this is that version. Let me write it bigger right here. Temeira. This is that second principal part. And remember, second principal parts are called infinitives. And they always translate the same way. To do something. All right? So you ought not to fear. There you go. You ought not, boy, to fear the wolf. All right, there you go. That's number 1. All right, I'm not going to flesh out the rest as much as that one. If you have a question you need me to, send me an email and I will. All right, just for the sake of everybody, I'm going to go a little bit quicker. I don't want this video to be mega long. All right, the next one is Filius domi non est. All right, the son domi, at home, known, not, known always means not, the son at home not est is. The son at home not is. The son is not at home. All right? So remember the subject noun of the first sentence. In the second one that they give you, they want you to put it in this blank right here as the vocative. All right? So phili is the vocative for this word. You guys translated that in your chapter reading, the ones about, those dudes sending the dad Demea off on like a wild goose chase or whatever. Heus mi phili, hello, my sons, direct address. This word looks like that in the nominative plural. Remember, the nominative plural and the vocative plural look exactly the same. My sons, all right? Or, sorry, son. It's the same, too. It looks like that with I with a macron for both of them. So, there you go. The way this one translates, they tell you te is you in the accusative, so this is your direct object. And then here is a very important word that we should look at. Expectamus. O means I, S means you, T means he, she, it. Mus means we, tis means y'all, and nt means they. So mus is we. All right? The son is not at home. The way this translates, this is the direct object. If you, te, is the direct object, we are waiting for you, son, direct address. So that's the answer to that one. All right, I'll say all of sentence 2 again. You can pause it if you need to. The son is not at home. We are waiting for you, son. All right, there you go. Number 3, we're amikum wokat. So the man calls the friend. All right? Now, subject noun of the first sentence is what you're changing into the vocative here in the second sentence. So guess what? Just like puer looks like that in the nominative, looks exactly like that in the vocative. We're looks like that in the nominative, so it looks just like that in the vocative. Those are ending in R words. They look exactly the same. All right? So the man calls the friend. All right? And then here we go. The friend, man, non est domi, is not at home. The friend, man, is not at home. Man, the friend's not at home. The friend's not at home, man. There you go. That's what it is. You can put it anywhere. That's why they bracket it with these commas. You can put it anywhere in your translation. Doesn't matter where it is. Whoever's being talked at is in the vocative case. So there you go. Next one. Amicus is your subject noun first. So this is the word that you are going to be putting into the vocative here. And these are the ones that we're really focusing on this chapter. Are these ones that end in us. Just us. Not like philius that has the ius, but us. Just us. Like amicus, revus, animus. In your translation that we're about to do in a second, lupus and agnus. All right? If anything ends like that in the vocative, go back and look at your notes because you'll see it. The vocative for those nouns that end in just us for the nominative singular end in e. Oh, you can't see it because of the glare, huh? Oh, even worse. Can't see it? It's spelled, that's so frustrating. It's spelled A-M-I with a macron, C-E. Amica. All right? I'm very sorry about that glare, guys. I hope you can see it kind of, what's going on there. Amica. All right? So we know it's the nominative here, so we change it to the vocative for this spot. It's been the same for all of these and the one that we're going to do down here. So the friend, all right? We can translate this first sentence. The friend, animum, is accusative, and animum means spirit or heart or soul. All right? And then we can see next to that is the word for good. And it's telling you right here that it is also accusative. So it's an adjective. Good is an adjective. It describes nouns. So what we can see here is that this is accusative singular, and the word next to it is accusative singular. That means it's describing that word. So the friend, a good heart, bonum animum, a good soul, a good spirit, not habet, has. The friend does not have a good heart, a good spirit. That's how that one translates. All right? Debes, you ought, amica, friend. You ought, friend. And then what is that? Habera, just like you had earlier with timera. That's the infinitive of the verb have, how you guys are supposed to translate it in your vocab quizzes. To have. You ought to have a good spirit, friend. All right? You guys should know, whenever you see this verb in a sentence, debeo, any version of that verb, doesn't matter who's doing it, how many people are doing it, if you ever see that verb in a sentence, there's going to be an infinitive in the sentence somewhere. Because you can't just say, you ought, and then ought what? Ought to do something. So it completes the verb phrase with an infinitive. All right? Last one, puella, girl. This is the subject noun of this sentence. So in this one, we're making it vocative, the direct address, the person we're talking to. The girl in agris ambulat. The girl walks in the fields. You, girl. You, girl. You guys can see here, te is the accusative version of you. You, girl, must. Same thing that you guys had up here. Expectamus. Expectamus. Must means we. I feel like I'm in Dora the Explorer right now. All right? We wait for you. You, girl, we wait for at home. We wait for you, girl, at home. Doesn't matter what order you put it in English, as long as you're giving things the right job. All right? That's what the cases are for. So good job. Next little bit to do here. All right? We already did 3 and 4, so let me go ahead and just give you guys 1 and 2. All right? So here we go. The sons, let me bring this down a little bit. The sons do not expect demea. So remember, whenever you're doing English to Latin sentences, you should always label the sentence first. So the sons do not expect demea. All right? So sons is your subject noun. All right? This is your whole verb phrase right there. All right? Not is an adverb. Expect is your actual verb. And this is where a lot of people get hurt. In English, when I'm telling you to take an English sentence into Latin, is they look at the helping verbs in English and they think, oh, I got to make each of those helping verbs its own little verb. Remember, I told you guys in English there are 3 ways to translate the present tense. It was a while ago. But take, for example, this verb right here, expect. You can say, I am expecting, am being the helping verb. I do expect, do being the helping verb, and just I expect. So remember, when you are translating from English into Latin, be aware of your whole verb phrase in English. Be aware of your whole verb phrase in English. Because the helping verbs and the pronouns and all that stuff, that's what English uses to do the whole verb, while Latin uses endings. All right? Latin uses endings. So here we go. The sons do not expect. Sons, subject noun, expect, verb, demea is the thing being expected. All right? Or in this case, not being expected with the adverb not. So this is the direct object. All right? So sons has to be nominative. Demea has to be accusative. All right? And they tell you what endings to use for that guy's name right there. You want first declension endings for that guy's name. So subject noun plural, you guys have done this a lot. Filii. Nominative plural for filius. Us-E-O-M-O-E in the nominative plural. All right? Demea. Singular dude, it's just one guy. Direct object. Accusative direct object. Demeam. All right? And then expect. Sons is plural. Subject noun is plural. So the verb has to be plural. So this is the one where if you have a bunch of dudes doing something, they is the pronoun that works. So the sons, demea, they expect. Oh, and I forgot, not. Non expectant. All right, the sons do not expect. Demea. The accusative ending here, make him the thing not being expected. The nominative ending here makes them the things doing the waiting, or in this case, not expecting, not waiting. All right? Number 2, Cyrus does not fear Demea. So a kind of similar sentence, but things are now singular. All right? Only one guy. Cyrus does not fear Demea. So same thing here. Demea is the thing not being feared or whatever. So that's a direct object. The person who's not doing the fearing. All right, still the subject noun. He's the one who could do the verb, but not is an adverb making him not do that thing. So Cyrus is your subject noun. All All right? Same thing here with does. Don't think that that's the verb by itself. It's does not fear. All right? So Cyrus does not fear, adverb and verb, Demea. And this is nice. This is in the structure that we like it to be in Latin, but you guys know that the verb in Latin needs to go at the end. That's what gives us our period, is the verb being at the end. So Cyrus's name can stay just like that, nominative singular, us. All right, it tells you that. Here are the endings that it takes. Cyrus, Demea, direct object. Same thing that you did before, Demeam, make them accusative singular. And then the verb is known, he's not doing the verb here, fear. One guy, Cyrus, he does not fear Demea. All right? So here we go. Now I'm going to take a break from these pages, and I'm going to show you guys the thing I've made for you guys here. All right? I have basically created a way for you guys to break down the translation on exercise 6. All right? The translation for exercise 6. And this is how it's going to look. All right? This is not it, but let me show you. All right? And then you guys can follow along on your PowerPoints tonight as you're doing this, as you're reviewing, okay? So here's exercise 6, more broken down, okay? I give it to you line by line. All right, we started it in class, but this is exactly how it goes for everybody, okay? Lupus et agnus in revo stant. All right? A lot of you guys could look at that, and you probably know exactly what that says just by looking at it. I want to show you exactly why it translates the way it translates, okay? So the next lines I give you guys, for every one of these, I give it to you bare, the way that you see it in the paragraph, and then I identify the endings. That's always step 1, know your endings, all right? Step 2 is to then have a relationship of those endings with the vocabulary. Know your vocabulary, that's step 2. But if you just know vocab and just know endings, and you don't understand the grammar behind why those things look the way they do, then you can't translate. So that's the next step. Us and us, those are nominative singular. Oh, with a macron, especially after a preposition right here. Oh, us, oh, ablative. And then this is a NT, third person plural. So here are those words highlighted as to what they belong to and what they're doing. Nominative, subject, noun. We got a conjunction here joining both of those words. Lupus et agnus. And then we have a prepositional phrase here. I highlight those in yellow. And then stant, but you guys can see here I've done something with the NT. Remember, the ending of the verb always reflects your subject noun. And here we have a compound subject noun. So a singular plus a singular makes a plural. Third person plural. So the translation is then this. The wolf and the lamb stand in the river. All right? And here's the next sentence, just so that I can show you again how I'm doing this. All right? Lupus superior stat et agnus inferior. So here are those same words. Some of them I've just left undone because they give them to you in the glossary down there. Superior means upstream. Inferior means downstream. So here, I've highlighted the endings, the T on stat and the us on lupus and agnus. All right? Nominative singular, and of course the verb here is just slightly different than stant, which is third person plural. Stat is third person singular. All right, so one person is doing it at a time. All right, the translation of it here looks just like it's translated. All right, but I've added this guy. All right, the wolf stands superior. The wolf stands upstream. The lamb stands downstream. And the reason why this verb is singular is because this conjunction is not joining two subject nouns, it's joining two sentences. So it's uniting what the lamb is doing with what the wolf has done. All right, and we do that a lot. It's easier translated just getting rid of the stands. You could just translate it, the wolf stands upstream and the lamb downstream. You don't even need to say the verb again. It's just understood. That's why I put it in parentheses. All right, one more. All right, lupus agnum vocat. So now we're seeing a action verb with a direct object in both of these sentences. All right? So this one's good. Remember, step 1 is still always to identify your endings. Always. So here we go. Our endings here that you guys can see up top. All right, we have us, t, e, and s. So that's very important for you guys to see. Us, nominative singular. Accusative singular. T, third person singular. Is accusative singular. E, vocative, like we were practicing a second ago. All right? And then S here, O means I, S means you, T means he, she, it. This S is second person singular. So now look at how I highlight the words as a whole. This is your subject noun. This is your direct object. This is your verb, but remember, the subject noun is always reflected in the verb. All right? Even though the subject noun is written here, it's also reflected in the verb. It won't always be reflected in its own word, but the subject noun will always be in the verb. Take, for example, the next sentence. Here's your verb, comes at the end of the sentence. Look at the ending, S. The subject noun is not given to you in blue anywhere else because it's not physically written in the rest of the sentence because it doesn't have to be. It's always given to you in the verb. So, the wolf calls, he calls, the T there is reflected, him. The wolf, he calls the lamb. But you can just say the wolf calls the lamb. This is the direct object. Your temptation is going to start the sentence with this because you love English word order. Because guess what? You speak English. But I told you, the main goal for translating a sentence that has direct objects in it is subject, noun, verb, and then direct object. So don't jump the gun. Go patiently, go slowly. All right? Subject, noun is at the end of the sentence. You muddy. You are muddying. Subject, noun does the verb. What receives the verb? You are muddying the water. Lamb. Vocative. Hey, lamb. You. Turbas. You are disturbing. You are muddying the water. All right? So you guys go ahead, use this for the rest. All right? Finish that translation. All right? Let me come back just for a second and show you guys the exercise 7 here. This is just taking, you guys could probably do this pretty quickly compared to the involvement of the other exercises, but let me bring it down so I can get a little closer to it. All right, maybe get the glare off of there. Ooh, wow, doing good. All right, so here we go. This is just taking the sentence that they do give you, and you're going to end up putting an ending in the blank that they've left for you. So whatever is here for you, you need to translate that's given to you. Translate what's given to you. The one that has no ending on it, you just save that to figure out what it should be. So for example, all right, the one that they give you here is Agnes non est in agr, and then they leave it blank. But you can translate the rest. The lamb is not non est in agr, and you know that means field. You know that comes from the word for field. So the lamb is not in the field. Prepositional phrase, object of the preposition, ablative endings. Ablative ending, object of the prep. All right? This could have also been the plural ending. I don't mind. All right? Could have been the lamb is not in the fields. So it could have been agris. Totally fine. Here's number 1. Agn, you know that's the word for lamb, but they've left that blank for you. Is in re, and you know what that is. That comes from the word for river or stream. And you can see in there. So in re is a prepositional phrase. What is the object of the prep? Ablative. So in the river is what this is trying to say. So you need to change that to in re wo. All right? And then agn is lamb. So what would make the most sense for the lamb to be in this sentence, grammatically speaking? It should be the subject noun. The lamb is in the river. The lamb is the one doing that linking verb, or being in this sentence. All right? Agnes is given to us as the subject noun. But then loop, all right, the word for wolf is left without an ending. All right, and then we have known wokat. You know what these mean. Lamb not calls. So the lamb does not call, and then we have wolf here. What should that be? Grammatically speaking, that should be the direct object. So the lamb does not call the wolf. All right, and the wolf in the story that y'all have translated is masculine. So this should be lupum, U-M. All right, masculine singular. Number 3, agnes aqua, which means water, non turbat. So the lamb does not disturb, does not muddy the water. Aquam, direct object. Lupus, the wolf, non amat, does not like. Agn, you know that means lamb. So the lupus does not like the lamb. Agnum, accusative, direct object. It's got to be the object. Non debes, you ought not. You ought not. And remember, I told you guys earlier, when you see this verb in a sentence, expect to see an infinitive. You ought not to devour. You ought not to devour the lamb. Lupe. So this one should be an E because he's being talked to. Remember, his name ends in just us. Any name that ends in just us is going to be an E in the vocative. Hey, wolf, lupa. You ought not to devour the lamb. All right? Debes. Once again, if you see this verb anywhere in a sentence, expect to see a what? An infinitive. So you ought to fear. There it is. You ought to fear what? What's in the accusative case? Lupum, accusative, direct object. You ought to fear the wolf. Agne, another E, because both of their names end in us. So they're an E in the vocative. All right, don't do exercise or the comprehension questions on the back. They're not as well. You can do the comprehension questions, but don't worry about number 1. I should say. Don't worry about number 1 in the comprehension questions up there. All the rest, though, this is good stuff. All right. So good luck studying tonight, and I will see you guys in the morning. Bye.